And now, your news, weather, and sports with the one, the only, Josh Storm Phillips. Beepity bitty beepity bitty beepity bitty beep.
Good evening, Change Summer. This is Josh Storm Phillips coming to you live from my living room. Oh, wait. We're not at camp. This is a serious webinar here, and I should actually be, getting going with the program. So with that, let me actually get started here. Folks, welcome everyone. My name is Josh Phillips. I'm the CEO of Change Summer. It is wonderful to have everyone with us today, especially our amazing guests, Briana Mitchell, Mike Callahan, Delshawn Hauser, Kiabi Addison, Jenae Connell, and Jenae Connell. I also want to thank our sponsor for today's panel, AM Skyer, a long-standing supporter of Change Summer and the entire camp industry. Before we begin, I want to take a few minutes to tell you about Change Summer and why we are doing this panel series. Change Summer is a nonprofit organization that partners with school organizations to create high-quality, customized summer opportunities for their students. Our programs develop students' confidence, independence, curiosity, and responsibility. We believe that turbocharging a high-quality education with the social and emotional development of excellent summer enrichment ultimately builds pathways for future connections and positions students to be successful through college, career, and life. Change Summer's work has never been more important. The undeniable reality is that the under-resourced communities from which our campers come have been hit the hardest by the pandemic and the resulting economic recession. Our North Star has always been an opportunity for all. And now more than ever, we feel a deep responsibility to close the opportunity and fairness gaps that pervade American society. At our core, we are an advocate and driver for real sector-wide change. To that end, we developed this three-part panel series titled Real Conversations, Real Impact, during which we will tackle critical topics to catalyze the deep and lasting change required for greater equity. Our first two panels covered issues related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and social emotional learning. Today's panel, titled Introduction to Change Summer, is a real gift, as we have an opportunity to learn more about what makes our camp special and necessary by hearing from our key stakeholders, leaders, team members, alums, families, and campers. They all have different perspectives about camp and have much to offer about this work. Like all of you, I look forward to learning from each of our guests today. This panel is not in any way scripted. Our guests are all here to share openly and honestly. To that end, let's get started with introductions. Each guest will provide their name, their affiliated camp, and one word to describe camp or their camp experience. We will start with Briana, then we will go to Mike, Delshawn, Kiabi, Talisa, and Jenae. Briana, kick us off.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that introduction, Josh Storm Phillips. My name is Briana Michelle Mitchell, and I'm the director of AF Camp. And I would say one word to describe how I think about camp and also my camp experience is transformational.
Excellent. Thank you. Mike. Mike, I think you're frozen. Let's move on to Del, and we'll come back to Mike.
Hello, everyone. My name is Delshawn Hauser. I am at AF Camp. And if I had to pick one word to describe my camp experience, it would be unforgettable.
Excellent. Now we will go back to unfrozen Mike. Go ahead.
Sorry about that, everybody. I got frozen, I guess. It was my old computer went down, so perfect timing. Hi, I'm Mike Callahan. I'm the director of Camp Uncommon. The word I would use to describe camp is family.
Thanks, Mike. Let's go to Kiabi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kiabi Addison. I'm a camper at Camp Uncommon, former camper at Camp Uncommon, and one word to describe camp was amazing.
Thank you, Kiabi. Talisa, go for it.
Hi, my name is Talisa. I am a Camp Uncommon parent, and I would say one word to describe camp is opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you, Talisa. And now, finally, certainly unbelievable camper here. Jenae, go for it. What do you got?
One word I had to describe camp is fun.
Love it. And what camp do you go to, Jenae?
Camp Uncommon.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, sweetie. All right. I'm going to start off our panel discussion today with a few questions for our camp directors, Briana Mitchell and Mike Callahan. Then I'm going to turn it over to Briana and Mike, and they will do the bulk of the moderating of the discussion with our guests. So, but two things before we get to the questions of our guests. Two logistical notes. First, if you are a camp family out there, thank you for participating in this event. We're so happy that you're here and feel so blessed that you're going to be joining us this summer. If you have any specific questions about camp in summer 2021, that's fantastic. We love questions. Please reach out directly to either Briana if you're headed off to AF camp, or Mike if you're headed off to Camp Uncommon. And Teddy and Jesse will put their contact information in the chat feature on Zoom. I promise you that Mike and Briana will answer any and all of your questions. We're not going to have a lot of time tonight to do that. So if you have any logistical questions about this summer, please put those in the chat. Second, if you have any questions for the guests about the panel tonight, about their experiences and how they feel about camp and their perspective, then also please use the chat feature in Zoom, and we will get to those questions at the end. For now, I'm going to start off with one question for Briana, one question for Mike, and then we will get to our other guests. So Briana, let's start with you. It's a two-part question. What were your major takeaways from last summer's virtual camp that we did with Camp Uncommon? And then the second part is, how did virtual camp influence your plans for the launch of AF camp in summer 2021?
Absolutely. So I had the pleasure of supporting Camp Uncommon with their virtual camp, supporting with all technical items. And so I learned a couple of things. One of my takeaways was first that our families rise to the occasion. Our families braved Zoom challenges. Many of them got frozen every morning, just like Mike just did, trying to log into camp. But our families were relentless in supporting their campers and making sure they were able to access our virtual programming. And they were never frustrated. They were always patient and always willing to get up every morning and try again, because they wanted their children to experience the benefit of camp. And that was something that really, really stuck out to me. One of my other takeaways was that our kids need community. We were pleasantly surprised every single day at how many of our campers showed up, logged in, and engaged in virtual programming, because they missed that sense of group belonging during the summer once remote school was over and the laptops closed. And so they were able to get that by attending virtual camp. And what I would say is that one of the things that I'm definitely going to use to influence my planning for this summer is that our programming doesn't have to be super complicated. What our kids need are the essentials. They need opportunities for teamwork, and they need opportunities to try new things. And that's what's most important. And if we are able to deliver on that, which I know that we are, then that is going to help shape the camp experience. And the last thing that was a takeaway was just that our families love to be involved. And so we want to figure out more ways to be able to bring camp to families during the summer, maybe via live streaming when we have special events, because we want our families to be able to participate as much as possible.
Fantastic. Thank you, Briana. Very thorough answer, which is not surprising. We're going to turn it over to Mike. Mike, also a two-parter for you. If you could speak about why it was important to bring camp to life virtually rather than take the year off in response to COVID. And then the second part of that is, how do you see relationships strengthen through that experience? How did you see relationships strengthen through that experience? Great.
Great question. So the first part is easy. The reason why we had to not cancel is because it's just not what we do. It was a time that we needed camp to happen. Our campers needed camp to happen. Our families needed camp to happen. Like Briana said, it's all about family and community, right? That's the things that everybody's missing in this. If you think about every aspect of life, we've had to turn to different avenues and different ways of connecting with each other via technology to make sure that we could stay connected with the people we love. And so it was not the year at all to cancel. So we did what we had to do, and we pivoted to make sure that our campers could have the same experience that they're used to having, or at least a similar experience of community. The relationship, so the interesting part about virtual camp is that you remove all of the bells and whistles. It is very, it's stripped down, like Briana said, it's very simple programming. And what we got to see as a result of that was that strong connections can be made anywhere. The thing that I was most amazed by was like for anyone who attended the closing campfire or the closing summit, you'll remember that like the camp see you soons, because we never say goodbye at Camp Uncommon. The camp see you soons were real, and they were heartfelt, and they were when our Katahdin, who are our oldest group of campers, spoke at the end of the first session, they were feeling the real camp emotions. There were tears, there was gratitude for their friends, for being their friends. There was all the camp magic was there. And so the thing that I was the most struck by, and I think that what I saw through the experience, was that the words that we sing every day, that Camp Uncommon is a place in our heart, especially when there's distance keeping us apart, really rang true this year. And so I think that was the thing that I saw through the experience that really changed the way I view what can be done with camp.
Thank you, Mike. Excellent. Thought you were going to break out in song there for a moment.
You never know.
That. Excellent answer. I'm now going to actually turn it over to both Briana and Mike, who are going to take us through the next part of the conversation. And I will be back to wrap things up, and I will participate as we move forward. But Briana and Mike, it is all yours for the rest of our guests here. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. So exciting. So happy to have the mic. And so my name is Briana Mitchell again. I'm the director of AF Camp, and I have a super unique pleasure because I have Delshawn Hauser, who's going to come in next answering a question. And Delshawn has a very unique perspective in that he was able to support virtual camp last summer, but he also is going to be our head boys counselor at AF Camp this summer. So we've got like really a superstar in Del. And so I'm so excited to ask him this question. Del, my question for you is, tell us a little bit about your experience at virtual camp, and what do you think the value of virtual camp was for our campers?
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Briana. So teaching or working with virtual camp last summer was like an experience I've never had before, honestly, because of the innovation, the optimism, basically, and how everybody was so excited to be a part, and the team joy. I would definitely say it was a great experience. Every day was something new. It was a new adventure, but we did it together, and we really built something amazing together. The value, that's really tough to decide, but I would definitely have to say innovation. Innovation was the value, simply because everything we did never have been done before, but we weren't afraid to try. And I say we, as in campers, as well as the staff, we did it all together, and we were innovative every step of the way.
Excellent answer, Del. Thank you. I have the pleasure of speaking to the one and only Jenae Connell. Brief history. So Jenae, when she started with camp with us in 2019, used to like to sit down next to me, and we used to refer to her as the assistant program director, because she would sit down and give me notes on the day, either on what happened from the last time I saw her until the morning, or lunchtime, or dinner. And camp got a whole lot better because of her feedback. So it's perfect that she's here. So Jenae, I got a question for you. You got to unmute yourself. Are you ready?
Yes.
What are your favorite parts about camp? And now you've done a year of camp in person and virtual camp. So what are your favorite parts?
My favorite parts are like when we get to do activities, like we get to do like lanyards and stuff like that. I like it when we go out to the cafeteria because it's a long hike, and my brain has her calories that I have of sugar, not from camp.
Nice. Great answer. Now, let me ask you another question. Why is Camp Uncommon special to you? Like what feels the most impactful for you in your experience at camp?
I think what's most impactful is that they're family, and there's just a lot of love and respect that they have. And yeah.
Great. Thank you for that. That fills my heart with joy hearing you say that. I wanted to ask you one more question, if that's okay. Is that okay? All right,
Yes.
great. So how has your time at camp impacted your experience in school? Like, do you feel like you've taken things away from camp that you can bring into your world and share with the people around you?
Yes. Yeah,
Look at the camera.
that's all I have. Yeah, they're very
Great. Awesome. It's good to hear. Thank you, Jenae.
welcome.
Beautiful. And we can actually go ahead and keep that unmuted because I have the privilege of asking Tulisa a question. Tulisa, a couple of questions for you. I'll try and break it down into 3 parts. The first is, why did you decide to send Jenae to Camp Uncommon?
Just to keep the uncommon culture of, getting her to and through college. I feel like Camp Uncommon I've never got to experience summer camp, right? So, to see it open to our kids, like, you get to go away for summer camp, just to have that experience. She was very nervous at first. To go away with different people and things like that. But I still think that helps them, prepares them for college, because when you go to college, you go into a dorm room, could be with 4 people, could be with 1 person, but it's a stranger, and you have to learn how to live with them and learn how to adjust not being around your parents and your family and the people you have to depend on. You get to become independent. And I feel like it's a great age to start learning how to become independent as a person, start learning how to take care of yourself, being clean and all of that, So I thought it was a great experience.
Absolutely. And what you said really resonates in that camp is a beautiful place to flex your independence. And someone put a question into the chat, which is like, where will campers be sleeping? And our campers will be having the opportunity to sleep in college dorms. And so they really are getting the opportunity to experience what college is like. So I'm glad that you trusted Camp Uncommon and sent Jenae, because obviously she seems to enjoy it. And as a follow-up to that, I would love to ask you, are there any noticeable changes that you've been able to detect since she started attending Camp Uncommon?
Yeah, she came back more independent, wanting to do things on her own. She came back more vibrant and more of an extrovert, because when she started, she was very enclosed and, no, I don't want to talk to nobody, I'm okay, and things like that. But yes, antisocial. But, it helped develop her social skills and being more open to talking in a crowd and doing things like this.
Same, Jenae. I used to be very, very shy, and now look at me over here as a moderator for a webinar. So I definitely
and a director
with that. Oh, well, thank you so much. Exactly. And so my last question for you, Tulisa, and this I think is really going to resonate with a lot of our attendees today. And this is something that you've experienced. But what would you say to a family member who's nervous about sending their child away to camp this summer, potentially for the very first time? What advice or what would you say to a family that was nervous about sending their child away for the summer?
It's okay to be nervous. It's normal. But one thing that resonated with me, what Mr. Callahan said, is like, he has kids, and the one thing he's gonna do is make sure he takes care of our kids as well as he's take care as his kids. So while they're with him, they are his kids. And plus, Camp Uncommon will change summer, should I say? As far as I know, they post pictures all the time So you're always in tune. You can write letters to your kid, which is, I think, is great. It's no technology. So they learn how to be one with nature and to communicate with other people properly, because technology is technology. But it's okay. It's natural to be nervous, but you have to trust that the staff will be there to protect and make sure that your child is okay. As far as anything medical issues, they square it down to a T, like call you every minute, last minute, making sure that if there's something wrong medically, like they'll take care of it. And I'm not like saying like nothing will happen medically, but like if they have to take medication or if they're allergic to mosquito bites, like, hey, you gave us this medication. We just want to make sure that this is the medication for this. This is the medication for that. So they're very on top of it. You don't have to worry about anything, honestly.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
I do appreciate that, Lisa. Thank you so much. Yeah, we put the campers our top priority. And I appreciate you saying that, because anyone who decides to make the decision to share their children with us for the summer, we make a sacred promise to, and we plan on always upholding that promise at Change Summer. So thank you for sharing that. I now get to speak to the one and only Kiabi Addison, who was one of our she was in the youngest group our first year at camp and went all the way through Katahdin, which means she's going into high school. Now she is in her sophomore year in high school, which is bananas to me because I've known Kiabi since she was in third grade. And she only recently, like last year of camp, started calling me Mike, but called me Mr. Callahan forever, and said that she was really struggling with being able to call me Mike, but it finally happened. So Kiabi, I hope you'll say, that I'm Mike this time too. So I got a question for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us from traveling home from the airport. It's fantastic dedication to your Camp Uncommon family, and we appreciate it. So what is your favorite camp memory?
Okay. Every time I'm asked this question, I say the same thing. I would say Bedlam. The last year I was in Katahdin, I was the captain of the yellow team, and my best friend Bria, she was the captain of the blue team. And we're really competitive people, so it made the challenge even more fun. And so we were enjoying the different challenges. Like, for example, we had a rope tie, a tug of war challenge, and I think we lost, but I would never admit that. But I remember leading my team, and like conducting a cheer, like a team cheer for the yellow team, and like teaching all the little girls how to do some, hooray, some motions, and then like it really like stuck in my heart because it was so fun and it was a memory that is engraved in my soul, and I will always like remember. And I still wear my shirt from Bedlam, even though I'm not supposed to talk about it. But like the memories from camp, I will never forget them because I grew up with these people. I grew up with the counselors, the children, the campers. So like I will remember camp and all the memories for the rest of my life.
Well, there's no doubt in anyone's mind after hearing your answers right now how amazing you are, Kiabi. And so I want to ask, has camp had any influence on your amazing confidence and your leadership skills?
Yes, because before going to camp, I was really quiet. I was an introvert. I didn't have social skills. And when I went to camp, the counselors really stressed communication and transparency. So if you had a problem, if you weren't feeling well, how was your day? Like little things like that. It really helped me be more like open-minded. And when can you go back to your question? I want to make sure I answer it.
Sure. Yeah, I was just asking, do you feel that your experience at camp has affected your confidence and your leadership skills? Has it impacted you in that way?
Yes, I'm much more confident now as a person. I'm always leading the class, and because I was given the opportunity to lead Bedlam and be a leader, now that I feel more comfortable reaching out and always being the first one to raise my hand or lead a project. So I really like how Camp Uncommon changed me to be more confident and open as a person.
Beautiful. And what are your future goals, and how do you see camp playing a part in that? Aside your future goals, aside from coming back to work at Camp Uncommon, because you're coming back to work at Camp Uncommon, right?
Yes, maybe.
Okay, great. Awesome.
So
That was yes. Everyone on this webinar heard you say yes, so that's it, Kiabi. You're coming back next year. Great. So how has it affected your future goals?
So I'm an aspiring architect and a commercial real estate agent. So I feel like Camp Uncommon really opened me to networking. So when I say networking, I mean socializing with different people. So Camp Uncommon was full of people from Boston, New York, and I'm still in contact with those people. So I really think that by teaching social skills to me as a young person, it really helped me, be like really really open to networking, and I always ask for someone's business card, and always the first one to answer like a question when we're in school, when someone new is coming. And it's like, yeah, networking. That's what I would say.
Kiabi Addison, you're a gem. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before we move forward, Kiabi, can you and Jenae, you can chime in here if you want. Can you guys explain to the larger audience what Bedlam is? We talk about Bedlam. I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but can you just tell us a little bit about what Bedlam is and why it's so special?
Okay, I guess I'll go first. So although we're not supposed to talk about Bedlam, Bedlam is a competition. So there's two groups split up, blue and yellow. I'm not sure if you changed your colors, but blue and yellow, and we go through a series of competitions. So for example, the first competition when I was there, it was Pictionary, and you collect points. So each team collects points, and by the end of the day, we see how much points each team has, and whoever has the most points win. So, and then at the final event is a cheer, I believe, the team cheer, and there's judges. The judges are counselors, and we try our best to win the judges over. And yeah, at the end of the day, whoever wins, they win the bedroll. No, the buoy. The buoy, yes.
The buoy. That's right. Nice. Jenae, anything to add? Do you like Bedlam?
I like Bedlam. It's a series of fun competitive games for people to enjoy. Yeah.
Did you win, Jenae? Did your team win?
I think, yeah.
Which year? Did y'all do Bedlam?
I don't think so.
All right.
Did your team win?
I think so, yeah.
I think so.
We'll call it a win.
No, wait. No, the yellow team won.
Yeah,
The yellow team won.
Again.
that happens. Great. Thank you for those responses. And we're talking a little bit more about Bedlam so everyone can get some insight into some of the cool things that happen at camp. And so my next question is for Mr. Hauser. What do you think that children need, why do you think that children need camp this summer? And what are you most looking forward to this summer?
Okay, great. So I think specifically the in-person part of camp this summer is really important because due to the pandemic, we were cheated out of a summer and a whole school year basically of social, emotional, in-person interaction. And as one previous physical education teacher and as a current school counselor, I believe students really, grow, I wanna say. They grow in a different way from that in-person interaction they're able to have with their teachers, with their peers. And while virtual school has been as best as it can be, it will never fill that void of actually being in person. And I think camp is that place where students will be able to be heard, get to see their friends, try out new activities, and actually get to know themselves, and actually get to grow and build those in-person interactions. As far as what I'm looking forward to this summer, I just want to say everything, honestly. The way camp went last summer virtually, I know it's only going to be 100 times better this year. This summer in person, I'm really looking forward to working with students and building those genuine relationships without a computer being involved, without any technology being involved, and actually just being ourselves and bringing what we have, having fun.
Excellent. I'm going to ask a few questions to Briana and Mike, but before I do that, we're getting a lot of really wonderful questions, both in the chat and in the Q&A. Keep those coming. If they're logistical questions, you can reach out directly to Briana and Mike. They will be happy to get on the phone and answer those. Teddy will put those again in the chat, the contact information. And then rest assured, Briana for AF Camp and Mike for Camp Uncommon are going to be doing multiple webinars, information sessions, specifically for camp families. They're going to go over the entire camp program. They're going to go over safety protocols. They're going to go over COVID protocols. Soup to nuts about camp for summer 2021. You're going to get that information within the next week or so. It'll have information on the location, information on activities, on dorms, on meals, on health stuff, on everything you could, transportation, everything you could want to know about camp. So there will be multiple, you'll be hearing from them more than you want to. And I'm sure that Talisa can attest. I promise you, you'll get all of the information, and you'll have plenty of time to ask as many questions as you want. Nevertheless, keep the questions coming. I'm going to build off of the answer that Del gave and ask Briana and Mike, why is it important to run camp in person this summer? And then a little sneak peek to your future information sessions. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect to see at Camp Uncommon and AF Camp this summer. What will some of the activities look like? And then what are some of the safety precautions that both camps are taking regarding COVID-19?
Beautiful. So I'll go ahead and jump in. First, I think that it's important to run camp in person this summer because we need it. To put it pretty simply, our campers, each other, all the adults, the leadership team, families, maybe, we all need camp this summer. And so we all deserve the opportunity to have fun outside and to enjoy the company of friends and to be outdoors. We weren't able to make that happen last summer, but this summer it's our imperative for our mental, physical, and emotional health because they all depend on it. So the simple answer is that we have to run in-person camp this summer. Now, in terms of what you can expect to see this summer, as I said before, I talked a little bit about the camp essentials, and that is fun, community, opportunities to challenge yourself and to grow, growth in general, whether it be personal or as you get to work with your other campers, and then safety. That is definitely going to be a camp essential this summer. I want to name that camp might look a little bit different, but all of the elements that are true to our values, which are that our campers have an opportunity to be safe and to have fun, are going to be present. And some of those activities that our campers can engage in, anything from sports such as tennis to kickball to Gaga, which you'll learn all about, arts and crafts, theater, I'll use them for Mike. And just to name a couple of the protocols, masking, and Kiabi is doing a beautiful job of demonstrating to us what that looks like. So definitely masking, testing, keeping our campers in pods, and then I'll save some for Mike to share as well.
Great, thank you. Thanks for stealing all my answers, Briana. No, I'm just kidding. I agree with Briana in that it's important because we need it. I think our campers need it more than ever. I think we all need it. I think that and last summer we didn't know enough. We didn't know, it was early. We didn't know enough about this disease. We didn't have vaccines. We didn't have all of the things that we have now. And we had to make the decision, as we've always promised to our families, to make the safest decision for their children and for our team. And the safest decision last summer was not to open. And I think we can do it this summer, and that's why we should do it as well. We also have a fantastic opportunity to be the first stepping stone back into this new world for our campers. I know I've seen it with my own son in particular, my 6-year-old, that there's a lot that goes along with being in quarantine for this long and being separated from your friends. And he's done relatively well, but there's moments, right? There's moments where he's missing the things that were normal about life. And I think that camp is a big dose of normal for our campers. It's going to be fun. It's going to be kids. It's going to be excitement. It's going to be all of the things that we've been craving. And I think we get to be the nurturing environment that they get to take those first brave steps into. And so, I'm excited to see them feeling safe and seen and having fun and trying their best and doing all the things they do at Camp Uncommon. In terms of what you can expect to see, I would say you're going to be able to see a lot of smiling eyes, because we're not going to be able to see smiling faces because of masks. But smiling eyes will be important. I think you're going to see a lot of laughter, a lot of love, a lot of connectivity. I think you're going to see kids having fun the way kids are supposed to have fun, which is what we've always prided ourselves on doing. But I think that this year it's more important than ever. Being outside, taking your shoes off and putting your feet in the grass, and those kinds of things that we've just all been kind of craving are going to happen, and they're going to happen in a big and major way. As always, Camp Uncommon has always said, and Change Summer, we always say that the most important thing we do is safety, and nothing else really matters. And I said in every information session I've ever had that parents don't really care if their kids get better at theater, better at singing, better at basketball, better at anything. They want them to come home safe. They want them to come home healthy. They want them to come home happy. And so this year we are going to do everything in our powers to make sure that those 3 things that are most important to families happen. And the rest will be all gravy. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be a great summer.
All right. Love it. Thank you, Briana and Mike. Another question, or 2 questions for both of you. What do you want others to know about Change Summer, Camp Uncommon, and AF Camp, and the work that you have dedicated your professional lives to? And the second part to that is, what role can and should Change Summer, AF Camp, and Camp Uncommon play in the fight for social justice?
Great. I'll take this one first, if Briana doesn't mind. Great. So I think I want people to know that at Change Summer, we practice what we preach. We're doing this work because we believe in our campers, and we believe in their ability to grow and learn and make this world a better place, and experience this world however they want to experience it. And we'll stop at nothing to ensure that we remove any roadblock that gets in their way. So in terms of, should we be doing the work for social justice? 100%. I think it's part of what we do already. I think we need to stand for our campers now, and I think we need to stand with them as they continue on the road of life. And I think that we should continue to do this work in and out of the camping realm, because it's important. And this isn't just a job for us. We love the children we work with, truly, like they are part of our family, and we want what's best for them. And so we should utilize all of our power to support them in every way we can moving forward in the future and always.
Great. And so what I want others to know about Change Summer is that what we do is we build summer camps for your children. I went to camp growing up, but I went to spaces that weren't built for me. And my mom had to do a lot of elbowing and a lot of pushing and a lot of advocating and a lot of following up with people to ensure that I was being seen as a camper and that my experience was being validated. And we at Change Summer do the converse, and that we build our camps for your campers. And so that different approach just allows us to make sure that in everything that we do, your campers will be seen, they'll be safe, and they'll be heard. And I cannot emphasize how much it is to make sure that you are seen, present in everything that we do, and that you are heard and always listened to. And I've decided to dedicate myself to this work because summer camp can change lives. Very similar to Jenae, when I was growing up, I was very antisocial. I experienced tragedy when I was a young girl, and I was really, really attached to my mom as a result. They used to call me Barnacle Briana. It's not a joke. And then I went to summer camp. And then I opened up and I learned how to speak for myself and how to advocate for myself. And I became more independent. I became more self-confident, and I gained responsibility, which are the core values that we teach to our campers. And I truly believe that learning those experiences and those values at summer camp are what allowed me to make some really important decisions in my life, like to go to college 2,000 miles away from my family. And then also, of course, to pursue the camp world as a profession because of the skills I gained at summer camp. And to be perfectly honest, the summer camp world has not always done the right work to make sure that everybody is able to experience the value of summer camp. And so our kids deserve the right to figure out more about themselves, to figure out what interests they like, what interests maybe they don't like. And so it's our responsibility to break down the barriers that have prevented camps from being a place of belonging for every single child. I believe that Change Summer has a role to play in the fight for social justice because first I want to say that the fight for social justice is not new. And while this is not new, it's different today, largely as a result of the horrific events of last year in 2020, and then the growth and the larger spread of the Black Lives Matter movement. And it expanded its reach even further as a response. And one thing that feels different now is that people have looked inward to say, what can I do where I am? How can I make sure that I bloom where I'm planted? How can I impact my community? And my community is the camp world. And so it's imperative that I make a difference and that I break down barriers and I provide access in the camp spaces because this is where I am. And so we have to be a part of this movement because we have to make sure that all of our spaces that we belong to are equitable and accessible and that they fight for social justice for every single person that dares to call this planet their home.
Excellent. Thank you, Briana. Thank you, Mike. We're getting a lot of really good questions in the chat and in the Q&A. I'm going to turn it over in a few minutes to Jesse to maybe summarize a few of the themes that we're getting in the questions. There are two that have popped out to me first. One is about discovery. So we have a social emotional program at camp, both camps that we call Discovery. And I'd love for really anyone, we can start with Briana and Mike. Del should feel free to chime in and others can as well. Just give us a little insight into what Discovery looks like and what it's going to feel like this summer at both of the camps.
Great. So just as we said before, we want our campers to walk away from camp making sure that they have grown in the 4 values of independence, confidence, curiosity, and responsibility. And discovery is how we ensure that that happens. Well, I believe that that can happen just like naturally while you're at camp because there are so many opportunities to grow in those ways. Discovery is how we put intentionality behind that. And we support our campers in doing work to learn more about themselves, to feel comfortable asking questions about like, maybe why do I feel this way? And really being able to express themselves and to know that it is okay. And it is a sign of good, healthy habits to be able to express yourself. And something that you can expect from Discovery is something I'm super excited about. And we're looking at it as like a confidence 2.0 piece, right? Where I want our kids to feel confident because of who they are as human beings, but I also want our kids to feel confident because of who they are as beautiful, potentially Black and brown children. And so I want to make sure that our Discovery curriculum allows and supports and builds up our students to be confident because of who they are, not in spite of who they are. And so we're being very intentional to make sure that our Discovery helps to support our campers in feeling that sense of self-confidence with like a capital C in the full sense of the word and all that that encompasses.
Great. I echo everything Briana just said, 100%. I also would say that Discovery, this year we have a very interesting opportunity because of the way that the pandemic has kind of shifted the world, right? And the events of the last year have kind of shifted the world. We have a unique opportunity with Discovery to give our campers the opportunity to speak about how that feels from their perspective and from their vantage point. And I think that being in an environment where it feels safe and you know the people, right? Or you become really close with the people like you do living in a camp environment. It's a really healthy thing to be able to share those feelings and say like, there was a moment that was scary, or there was a moment that was super fun, or there was a moment like that we've all had those moments, right? And I've seen like, even in myself as an adult, like looking back on the last year, like there were moments that were really scary, right? And I think any of the parents here can attest to like, this is an interesting year to parent. Like you have to answer a lot of questions you never thought you'd have to answer. And so I think that there is there's an opportunity for us to give our campers the opportunity to speak about what their experience has been. And I think it's going to be really powerful for them and for us to hear how resilient they are and how amazing they are, and how they've, I'm a firm believer that everything that happens in your life is part of your journey and a stepping stone to you becoming who you are. Even the hard things and even the things that that can be super challenging to you ultimately end up becoming a piece of who you are and make you able to do what you're able to do. And so I think that we're gonna see a lot of growth, and I think we're gonna see a lot of beauty in the conversations in Discovery this year.
Excellent. Jenae and Kiabi, do you all have anything, any memories of Discovery, any particular values that stand out, anything that you guys remember about that?
Okay. I vaguely remember Discovery. I remember it as a time to analyze and understand your emotions. And it wasn't like school at all. I went in. I came out of Discovery feeling refreshed and understanding myself more, because it is important for children to understand what they're going through, whether it's happy or empathetic, and it's a time to just let go, release, and talk about your emotions. And it's important to talk about your emotions, so you won't grow up to be silent and bottle up your emotions. So Discovery is a time to connect with yourself and like understand yourself. Yeah. Oh, I remember doing fun activities. I don't remember, like I don't remember, but yeah, it was fun.
Excellent. Jenae, any memories of Discovery, Jenae?
How about she just discovered that camp is going to be in person this summer, so she's super geeked about it, and she was freaking out low key.
Love it. All right. So yes, camp. Thank you, Talisa. Camp is going to be in person, and that actually thank you for raising that. We're getting a lot of questions around where is camp going to be, and so first I'll answer this and say that camp is going to be in person. Camp is going to be in the state of Rhode Island, which is about 2.5, 3 hours away from New York City and from the New York City metro area, relatively close to Boston. We are finalizing the exact location and university. Actually, Briana and Mike and I are going to visit on Friday, and to make sure that it suits our needs. Once that happens, we will communicate out the exact plans around location. And then, as I've mentioned a few times, Briana and Mike will be doing multiple webinars, sending out a ton of communication with all of our protocols and all of the information about camp during information sessions, and sharing that as well. Question that we're receiving, Briana and/or Mike can answer this. This is a great question. I'm so happy to hear this question. It's, how do I enroll in AF camp, and how do I enroll in Camp Uncommon? What's the process for that? How do I do that?
Well,
Patty, that's music to my ears. I love when people want to enroll in camp. Briana, go ahead, take it away.
Oh, it's okay, because I was just taking time to queue up the application link, Mike. You can enroll directly using our beautiful site. It's a pretty simplified application to make sure that we're getting the most important information from you. And then one of our team members will reach out to you to provide you with some more information if you have any additional questions. So in just a second, I am going to drop the link into the chat so that you all can have it. And then also, we're going to send out a follow-up to this panel, and ideally we can include the links to apply in that follow-up. And then of course, Mike and I are super accessible, probably like too accessible. So if you ever have a question, give us a call, give us a ring, shoot us an email. I've already gotten some emails while you've been on this webinar, which I'm so excited about. And we will take care of you. And I'll drop the link to the application to AF Camp in the chat in just one moment.
Excellent.
I agree. We are super. I will do the same thing. I'll drop the link for Camp Uncommon, and also we are super accessible. I don't think I've left my house or this seat in over a year, so we're definitely available and would love to talk to someone outside of the people in our homes.
Thank you. Okay, great. A few other questions that are coming in, and then I'm going to ask Jesse themes that we should try to tackle. Great question around what is the difference between AF Camp and Camp Uncommon? Love that question. So Camp Uncommon is in partnership with Uncommon Schools. So if you have a student who is currently in 4th grade all the way through currently in 8th grade, then they can go to Camp Uncommon, and they are eligible to go to Camp Uncommon. You just need to fill out some of the enrollment information, which Mike and Briana just said is relatively simple, and then you will very likely be accepted. There just needs to be a couple of checks on if we have room for that age group, but generally speaking, you'll be accepted. Same for AF Camp. AF Camp is in partnership with Achievement First. So same thing. If you are a current 4th grader through current 8th grader at Achievement First, you just apply using the link that's now in the chat for AF Camp, and kids will, Briana will take a look. And if there's room, which there should be in most grade levels, then you will be allowed to go. Let's take a look here and see other questions. AF Camp, so this is the first official year of AF Camp. We were very, very close to launching AF Camp last summer. Unfortunately, the pandemic took that opportunity away from us. We didn't really feel like it would be appropriate to offer a virtual online camp in the inaugural year of AF Camp. So we decided to postpone and launch in person this summer. We did run virtually for Camp Uncommon last summer because it was a veteran camp, and kids and team members already knew each other. So this will be the first time. Great. Let's see other questions. Yeah, so we are gonna, there's been some questions around pods and groups. And so one of the safety protocols that we are putting in place is campers and team members will be in family pods, what we're calling family pods or group pods. So in the past, we've had a co-ed groups. So we would have female campers and male campers in one group together. It used to be a group of about 25. This summer, due to COVID protocols and for safety, we're actually going to have gender specific pods. So females will be, let's say you're in 5th grade, you will be with a group of about 12 total 5th grade female campers and 2 or 3 female counselors. That will be your pod of, somewhere between 13 and 15 total. And then we'll do the same thing for boys and male campers and male team members. And we're doing that almost exclusively for COVID purposes. So if it happens where somebody were to test positive for COVID-19, then we will be able to easily contact trace who's in the pod, as opposed to not doing that and risking potential community spread. So all of these safety protocols, I promise you again, Mike and Briana are going to go through every single protocol that we have during the information sessions.
Hey, Josh, I also think it's important to mention that all of our safety protocols are now up on our websites. Yeah. And so if you go to our websites, there's a top line that says COVID protocols, and you can take a look at all the things we've done to prepare for the safety of your children and for our team. And so if you want to get a jump on getting that information, that's all available on our websites. And then Briana and I are both happy to follow up with conversations about any of those things if you have any questions about any of the protocols we put in place.
Great. Okay, Briana and Mike, we have a question around, do campers and counselors have to be tested, COVID tested before coming to camp? That's a question, and I can build off that if you want, but I'll let you two take that, and then we'll keep going.
Yeah, so the first and most important safety step is going to be getting tested prior to getting on the bus. It's one of the ways that we are going to be able to keep it as safe as possible. And so Getting on the bus this year will require a COVID test, and we will have more information about that. The last thing we want to do is add an extra step to what is already a busy schedule, preparing your children to go to camp, but it's an important step in order for us to be able to make the promise that we're going to keep them safe. We need that step to happen in order for them to get on the bus safely.
Absolutely. And then just to echo what Mike said, from our counselor standpoint as well, we want to ensure safety from a number of different angles. And that includes ensuring that our counselors are tested prior to coming to camp as well, because we want to make sure everyone is happy, healthy, and safe this summer. And we had a really great question just really quickly in the chat about how then, because you talked about competitions. And so, as I said before, like, we're going to have to be a little bit creative this year to make sure everyone is happy and healthy, but that's okay. So for example, let's take the example that Kiabi used of Pictionary. Groups, even if they're in their pods, can do Pictionary and they can still tally up points. And then we just add them all together, even though they might be taking place in their pods and distance socially, we can still be able to engage in safe competition. That element will still be present. We'll just have to get a little creative, which we are all very, very great at, especially Dell.
There's a million ways to create community. We created community online with kids all over, the Northeast this past summer. And so there's no doubt in my mind, we can create that community feeling with kids in pods, and our campers. We'll be in the same location. We're going to be able to figure out a lot of things that are going to make it feel like we're all one big family, and that camp we're all a part of one big camp.
Excellent. Thank you. We have a question around sleeping areas. So boys and girls will be in dorms. They will be in separate dorms. We won't have co-ed dorms. There'll be separate dorms, and campers will be sleeping kind of in their group pods. That right now it looks like the dorms will be double occupancy rooms. So each camper will have a roommate that will be from their pod. The exact campus, I promise we're going to let you know as soon as it's finalized. We don't like to overpromise and underdeliver, so we're going to let you know likely next week. Like I said, we're going to visit the place where we're finalizing things with on Friday, so we will let you know about that. One other, just building off of what Briana and Mike said around COVID testing, we are going to require that in order to get on the bus. We will provide a ton of resources around where and how to get tested. And we are looking into, again, I don't want to overpromise, but we are looking into partnering with a testing agency to provide, and it'll be at a central site to provide testing for all families, for all campers. So we'll let you know all about that. It'll be a few days before departure. And all you would need to do is come to that testing site, sign up with us, and then you'd be able to get a test. So we're going to try to make the testing as easy as possible before you come to camp, but just want to make it as safe as possible. You will hear Briana and Mike over and over again, as well as Dell and the rest of our senior team. The word safety will come up hundreds and hundreds of times. And that goes back to what Mike said earlier and what Talisa said, which is, when your child comes to camp, whether it's AF camp or Camp Uncommon, we view them as our children, and we will do everything we can to protect your children and keep them as safe as humanly possible, in the same way that I would do for my own daughter. So know that that's our philosophy. That's how seriously we take it, and we will always be that way. There's a question about the fee for camp. And I will answer this quickly. The fee for camp, I want to be crystal clear here. The fee to send a child to camp is $150. But Change Summer, AF Camp, Camp Uncommon, we never, all caps, never let finances be a barrier to sending your child to camp. It's sort of the honor code, honor system here. So if you are a family and you feel like you can afford to spend $150 to send your son or daughter away to camp for 2 weeks and enjoy everything that Camp Uncommon or AF Camp has to offer, then great. Then we ask you to contribute, $150 to send that child to camp. If you can only do $100 or $75 or $50 or whatever it is that you feel like you're capable of doing, then we ask you to contribute that. And if you feel like it needs to be less than that, it's going to be, I promise you, it's going to be no problem. It will never prohibit your child from stepping on that bus and enjoying a camp summer. I promise you that. So that is the fee. Again, Mike and Briana will go over all of this in information sessions. All right, before we close, Jesse, any other theme questions that we should try to answer for any of our guests or for just camp in 2021?
Absolutely. It seems like we have quite a few families who might be sending their kiddo away from home for the first time. How will counselors ensure that they feel safe and welcome?
So the thing that we've always done at Camp Uncommon is it's my job to get to know the families, and our leadership team's job to get to know the families as much as possible before camp, and to get to know the campers and to ask the right questions and to make sure that we have the information we need. We're going to do surveys. We're going to do there's going to be all kinds of things coming families' way so that we can get to know the ins and outs of what makes your child tick. And I think Kiabi and Jenae can both speak to this a little bit too, but there's a sense that your counselors already know you when you get there, and not in the sense that like they know they don't have a lot to learn and want to keep having the conversation, but we try and make sure that our counselors can say your name and give you a high five or whatever it is we do now in the COVID world. But we say hello and they know they're campers. We also spend a lot of time getting to know campers when they get off the bus. We spend a ton of time. The first day of camp is essentially group meetings almost the whole day, playing games, getting to know your campers, learning their names, everyone learning each other's names. So there's a lot that happens. I promise you in the first 48 hours, we're going to be able to make your campers feel safe and welcome and seen, because we've always been able to do it, and there's no chance we're not going to be able to do it this year. And so for those first-time families, I know it's a wild thing to think of sending your children away with strangers, but I promise you're going to have so many conversations with us by the time camp comes around that we're going to feel like family. And so just know that you can reach out to us at any time. We're happy to have these conversations over and over and over again. Briana, I miss anything?
I wanted Dilshan to just jump in a little bit, because that is something that's definitely going to be like in his purview. Everyone's going to be looking out for that, for figuring out how we can make sure that we can mitigate homesickness. But I think that Del in particular will really be able to speak to that, if you don't mind chiming in, Del.
Yeah, definitely. Even speaking of my experience last year, I think that just building genuine relationships first is going to be the number one priority. Of course, making sure the kids are safe and having fun, but just balanced off, great relationships and giving them an outlet of a person to, have fun with and be creative with. Overall, I definitely think, and even as the head of boys counselor, we're going to spread the love and the energy of just wanting to be around each other and staying mindful of who we are and what is that exactly our purpose of camp. We are here to make it fun. Not to say school isn't fun, but it will feel nothing like school. As long as we're safe, everything will go well. I definitely believe we have that time. We also are given as counselors that training to just work with the kids and actually get to know them for who they are, not who we want them to be.
Kiabi has her hand raised. Kiabi, you have something to add?
Yes, I do. I remember coming from camp. It was my rising 8th grade year, and I was going into my dorm, and my counselor, her name was Ray, and she said, "Oh, I heard that you like Michael Jackson," and I was like, "How did you know that?" And then I remembered that in the application, the parents will fill out certain like interests that the campers have, like their favorite music, their favorite song, their favorite food. And my mother told me not to put candy, but so it helps the campers feel at home, because we get to bond based off of our interests and characteristics. And I also had something to say, but I forgot. Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, I would just add one particular piece to this conversation. So when you think of the AF Camp team and the Camp Uncommon team, you're going to have folks like Delshawn, who are experienced teachers and social workers and deans of students from Achievement First at AF Camp, and similarly from Uncommon at Camp Uncommon. That's number one. Those are our senior leaders. Our health center team is going to have, each camp will have 5 nurses. We have an emergency room doctor who will be on site. We have a health center administrator. It's a fully staffed health center team that's going to look out for your children medically. If they have medication, we will definitely take care of that. And then just an amazing opportunity. We have the large bulk of our team members are students who have graduated from either Achievement First or Uncommon schools. The alums of those schools who are in college right now are the large bulk of our regular sort of counseling team, our group counselors and our activity counselors. And we have them also surrounded by teachers who are in those positions as well. And then we have junior counselors who are current juniors and will be rising seniors in high school. So the point I'm trying to make here is it's a well-stocked group of people. They are all part of either the Achievement First family and giving back to the Achievement First community, or they are from Uncommon and giving back to the Uncommon community. And it's a very much a family feel. Everybody feels strongly about taking care of children and ensuring that they have a safe and engaging summer. So I promise you that we will do everything we can to ensure that happens. Okay, Jesse, we're coming up on the close here. Any other themes?
The other theme would be, what does a typical day at camp look like?
I'll take it. So a typical day at camp starts off with everybody rising and shining, getting ready, going to breakfast, and then we follow it with Summit, which is my favorite part of the day. It's the best way to start your day. We do news, weather, and sports. We talk about values. We have all kinds of funny traditions that occur, and it's a great way to feel energized and ready to go for your day. We announce the schedule. We do all kinds of things at our morning summit. And then after that, they go to their activity periods. After the activity, they'll have activity periods in the morning, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. And we're working on what the schedule is going to look like this year, but it's going to be similar to how it's always been. And so what it's always been has been 3 activity schedules, lunch, rest period, which is the only time at camp that you can hear a pin drop. Most kids say that they're not going to sleep or rest during rest period. And then the first 2 days, it doesn't happen, but it gets quieter and quieter as camp goes on during rest period because they need it. They're running around and doing 10 times more activities than they've ever done. They also have a discovery block folded in, which we talked about before. And then there will be evening activities. Evening activities could be anything from a movie to a dance to Counselor Idol, which is a hit. The counselors come and perform songs. We've had a lot of fun doing that over the years. And we do our closing campfire every night, and kids are awarded for their excellence and for being the wonderful people that they are every night. And we sing the camp song and we close out our day.
All right. Jesse, I'm going to close us out if that's okay.
Yep, I think the last thing I would say is there are some really specific questions that have not been answered. I would highly recommend reaching out to either Briana for AF Camp or Josh for Camp Uncommon. Mike for Camp Uncommon, and they will be able to help.
And we're going to have information session after information session after information session. And I promise you, and I know Briana does too, we will allow you to ask us questions until we faint in front of the computer. So please just bring all these questions with you. Don't hesitate to ask them again and again. Our job is to make you feel comfortable because happy families put happy campers on buses. So just know that we're ready and we're prepared and we're here for you. So reach out when you need us.
Excellent, thank you. And in typical Change Summer AF Camp Uncommon fashion, we are going to try to end very close to on time. So here we go. Thank you so much to our guests, Briana Mitchell, Mike Callahan, Delshawn Hauser, Kiabi Addison, Talisa Connell, and Jenae Connell. I want to just thank them so much for giving their time and being with us and being so supportive of all of our camps. Given the pandemic, our work at Change Summer is as critical as it has ever been. This summer, we will operate programs in Rhode Island for 1,000 4th through 9th grade students. So rising 4th through rising 9th grade students from Achievement First and Uncommon schools. Our campers will participate in a safe, robust program consisting of swimming, athletics, arts, music, theater, and outdoor adventure. And each day, campers will take part in a dedicated social emotional activity block focused on identity, equity, and purpose. Simply put, and folks have said this throughout the conversation tonight, simply put, our students need and deserve this opportunity. We are looking forward to a fantastic, safe summer in 2021. We hope all of you will join us. And if you have additional questions, please reach out to Briana or Mike. Please attend all of the upcoming information sessions. In the meantime, thank you so much, and please continue to stay safe. Thanks. Have a great evening, everybody.